In as early as the 12th century, many mills were in use. Farming was the major profession, and grain production was a full-time task. Most of these mills used the power of the wind to spin the wheel which ground the grain. Then, as time went on and technology advanced to the point that wind was not needed to move the grindstone in a mill. Instead, windmills were used to pump water to the ground, to irrigate crops, and feed livestock. But as cities developed their own water systems and sewer systems, and they expanded out past city limits, the windmill lost even more use. What used to be a vital part in the farming world became almost an aesthetic part of it, just for looks. But as time goes on, the world is searching for new types of energy, clean energy, and nuclear power and hydroelectric power both are dangerous, potentially dangerous. But what is coming through is that wind power and this ability to harness the world's natural energy is becoming a greatest push. The typical wind turbine consists of 3 blades spinning on a horizontal axis, which allows the turbine to catch wind easily. This is much like an old-fashioned windmill. The blades on these turbines look rather like airplane propellers and are placed in a windy location. Because the blades on a wind turbine are connected to a magnet generator, they produce power. This method of capturing the wind's power first started in the 12th century, when about 10,000 windmills ground grain and pumped water in Western Europe. While these turbines are not always the most efficient, they are probably the most common due to the fact that they have been used for over 800 years and still produce power. But wind turbines do have drawbacks. Horizontal axis turbines have drawbacks such as low-level noises and the fact that they cannot handle high wind speeds. Due to low frequency noises, humans cannot live close to wind farms. This makes it harder to find locations that are suitable for a wind farm. But even this is not cause for concern, because with improved technology, silent turbines will be created. However, a drawback of wind turbines is that they cannot stand up in very strong winds. When the turbines are exposed to winds of more than 50 miles an hour, they have to be shut down, as the wind speed can cause damage to the gearboxes. This is problematic because with each doubling of the wind speed, you get an 8-fold increase in potential energy. Because of this, harvesting electricity from high wind speed is important, and that's why there's a large push for something new that can handle high wind speeds. Relatively a new technology in wind turbines is a blade that spins on a vertical axis. This turbine has 3 blades, much like conventional turbines, but can handle much higher winds than a conventional one. These turbines are easier to maintain, hold up better in high wind speeds, and accept wind in all directions better than horizontal axis turbines. And thusly, they're being pushed as something new to try. But because they hold up better in winds, they could be better. However, the problem is they produce less energy than a conventional turbine. This only drawback is why there are fewer vertical axis turbines than conventional turbines in use. But even though wind turbines have a few drawbacks, they still should be a major source of the United States energy plan. Wind is a safe form of energy production, but not using large amounts of land that will take away from farming. Because of this, they don't need very much farm, so the land can be used in other ways. But what is best is the place for turbines and farms of turbines are areas of constant wind and areas with not many objects to slow the wind or stop the wind. And because of this, farms in Kansas, in the Midwest, are a great place for wind farms. This all plays into the hand of using wind farms. Solar farms take up large amounts of energy because they use up all the land there. When you put in a solar farm, you cannot expect to use the land for anything else. And while the solar farm may produce more energy, they require more maintenance, as solar panels do not produce the maximum output unless they are clean. But also, wind energy is a very safe form of energy. The electricity produced by a wind turbine is, well, not as much as nuclear, hydroelectricity, or coal, clean and safer than any of the three. Coal plants still produce harmful pollution from mining and burning coal. It is still a major health issue in the United States. These harmful effects are seen from high levels of ozone pollution, which can cause children to have smaller and weaker lungs. The danger of causing this health issue in young children is a very definitive reason to why energy plants burning coal should be slowed and ultimately halted as an energy production center. But wind is not only safer regarding health effects than fossil fuel and coal burning plants. Wind energy also has the ability to reduce emissions by producing energy so as to prevent fossil fuel burning plants from being used. For instance, a single 750 kilowatt wind turbine is able to produce enough energy as to the prevention of as much carbon dioxide emission each year as could be absorbed by 500 acres of forest, which is enough wind, which, if enough wind turbines were used, could prevent large amounts of emissions from ever happening and being produced. Another way a wind plant is truly superior to coal plants and even a nuclear plant is the fact that wind farms almost never need to be shut entirely down. When a coal burning plant or nuclear plant needs to be serviced, they have to shut the entire thing down. With a wind farm, all they have to do is shut down the wind turbine that they need to service, and the rest of the farm can still produce energy. And eventually, the prices of fossil fuels or coal burning plants are going to become increasingly expensive because the supply is limited. And wind energy will never have this problem because the wind is always blowing. And also, the price to produce wind energy turbines is going to go down, and so it becomes a more cost-efficient way to power the Earth. Wind energy is a truly great form of renewable energy. It is a completely clean form of renewable energy that needs less land than a solar farm and is easily safer than nuclear or coal burning plants. Wind turbines were first used in as early as the 10th or 11th century. This technology was almost lost in the 20th century until the energy crisis of the 1970s. While people currently depend on fossil fuels to create the electricity they use for everyday activities, it is this dependability that could cost the United States in the long run. Greenhouse gases, which are still building up, and air pollution can cause many ill effects and cause global warming. A clean, renewable energy source is the key to cleaning all this up, and wind energy, when pushed to the maximum output, could be the form of energy that ultimately cleans up the air and ends the air pollution crisis.